Alright, ladies and gentlemen, how are we all doing tonight? Welcome back to Formula Sim Series for the first round of the season here in Sao Paulo. It's Lagos, Brazil, and as you can see, it is raining, so already then, drivers on the wet compound tyres, and let's see how they take it for this 18-minute qualifying session here at Sao Paulo. We should put on a really good display of racing, as it always has done in the past, so hopefully we could see some good action here for this evening's race. And Brazil, first held in 1972, and it's held championship, it has championship deciders as well, back in 2008 and 2012. And yes, 4.3 kilometers long, 15 turns, and the lap distance is 36 laps, I believe. But we've got a driver coming out the pit lane now, and we'll see who that is. It's a McLaren driver, so let's have a look to see who it is. It's going to be the Dutch. It is Jensen then, who's coming out on the track. First one on the track in the wet conditions. Let's see how he tackles it. It's going to be very difficult for these drivers as well. I wonder if it's going to be a wet qualifying session and a dry race. It looks like some drivers might have to adjust their setups a little bit when it comes to the race, but let's see then. We're on board with Jensen in the McLaren, making his way down into turn number 3. So yeah, going to be very difficult in these wet conditions, especially at the traction zones as well, and in the middle sector where it's tight and technical. So yeah, we might see some people struggling, but we'll see how they tackle this 4.3 kilometer circuit. SHS Jensen in the McLaren. We've got a few more coming out on the track, which is Tom and LRB there, just switching from inters to wets. You can see that Jensen already slided on his outlap as he gets the tyres in the working range. In the wet conditions, you see more drivers do about 2 or 3 laps, maybe more than that, to get a real feel, because the tyres really do sink into the track as they start to gain more temperature and lay down some grip as well. So it's not like the dries where you see one driver go for 1 lap and that's it, or maybe one push, cool down. 1 lap, then push, then another lap. But we go for consecutive lap times. The tyres don't warm up as quickly as the dry compounds do. So Jensen then about to make his way around the final corner, and let's see then what lap time he's going to set as he make his way on the start-finish straight. And let's see as he make his way down into turn 1, usually brake about the 50 metres. You can see him taking it very cautiously on the entry, down into 3rd gear, very cautiously now in 4th gear. On the 2nd corner, you can see the rear is just landing as he turns into turn 3. Now getting back with the throttle, this is another opportunity to overtake as the Red Bull or the Ferrari gets out of the way. As we make our way down into turn 4, 19.1, down into 4th gear we go, hit that inside curb, using the run out wide, and taking the shortest line through here. Making our way down into the seat of the logo. Might be a difficult one for him. Let's see how he takes it. Yeah, stays in 5th gear. You can see him experimenting with the throttle, trying not to get it too early or too much, just in case the rear slide. But into the slow speed corners then. So he uses a lot of curb there, and as a result of that, he validates his lap time. So that's his first lap over. Oh, we almost lost it on the curb as well. So just had a notification come through. Yeah, the stream is up. I'll put it in the chat. Yeah, so Jensen's then lap time is already over. We'll see anybody next to cross the line. We've got AlphaTauri next to cross the line. We'll see who that is. That's Joey, I believe. Yes, he is. There he is then, as he makes his way towards the line. I think we're going to see some times in the 16s or 17s. We'll find out. And it's going to be a 17.7 for Joey's first lap time. Let's see if that gets beaten. We've got Aston Martin next across the line. That's Andrea. Andrea puts it on provisional by 2/10. It's a 17.5, so 2/10 quicker. And there's the it's his teammate actually. Andrea goes P4, his teammate went P2. Will Murdoch goes P5 with a 30.8, not a represented lap time. And Tom goes into 2nd place in the Red Bull. Looks like a last middle sector was purple. Noah Jones goes into P6 with an 18.4. Mika goes into P6 with a 17.8. A few hundreds away from Andrea, as Vincent goes into P7 with a 17.8. So quite a few lap times in the 70s, and Santeri in P1. 17.0, so that's a very quick lap time, adjusted to the wet conditions very quickly. There he is then, Santeri on provisional pole with a 17.0. I think he validated his 2nd run as well, so that's why he's not going for another push lap, because the 2nd lap tends to be better than the 1st lap. Links there, I think he started his final lap going across the line as Teno goes into P11 with an 18.2. Elsewhere on the track we've got a McLaren, the Dutch missile, not a represented lap time, must have made a mistake somewhere, but Jensen then in P16, not evaluated his lap time this time, so let's see where he puts his McLaren, and he puts it in P4, so much better lap time, or get a bank on board, 17.6 then, so he's in the top 4. Let's see what he can do later in the session then, as Jax goes across the line in P3. He's just done a lap, but he hasn't improved, so he stays in P3. I think he's going for another push lap as well in the Aston Martin there, but where elsewhere on the track, who we got to cross the line? The Red Bull of Tom goes quickest with a 17, with a 16.9, so the first driver in the 16. Noah Jones, his teammate, puts it in third place with a 17.2 then, so the lap time's just tumbling down as the drivers get familiar with the track. And the tyres are sinking as well to get us the temperature, more laps, more rubber being put on the track. Here comes Links then coming out of John Sauer. You can see him just sliding there in fourth gear as he applies the throttle, just not traction, not breaking through. As Mathieu goes into P1 with a 16.9, only a few hundreds quicker than Tom. But Links goes up into P6 in the Alfa Romeo. The tyres start tumbling down, but the TTT driver in P1 then, the second driver in the 16s, only a few hundreds quicker than Tom in P2. Tom's on another lap and he's a few hundreds down in that first sector. We've got an Aston Martin ahead of us, not sure if he's on a lap time or not, but look at Jax, 5/10 quicker in that middle sector, so he can see himself in P3 or quickest if he can find more time in that last sector. So we're going to see Jackson makes his way towards the line. He runs out of fuel, and it's still P1 despite running out of fuel. So it's a 16.8, but that's a confidence booster if he's run out of fuel just before the line. He's done 3 laps on those wet tyres as well. So Jackson lost a little bit of time as he made his way towards the line, but still very good lap time indeed from the Aston Martin driver. And we've got Matthews going quickest in the middle sector, in the first sector by 1/10 as he makes his way towards the end of the middle sector. It's 2/10 up improvement from Matthew. You can see himself back up pole position, but he's wheel spins coming out of John Sau, and he might have lost himself a bit of time as he tries to get on the throttle as quick as he possibly could. But the rear is just not sticking there as he makes his way towards the line now. It's a 16.8, so despite losing time, he puts that Haas on the front row along with Santeri, who just gone quickest with a 16.6 as well. There's the Alpha Tauri driver. There's Tom, just evaluated it. Who else is there to cross the line? We've got Links in the first 2 corners. We've got Jensen 6/10 up, so Jensen's found a lot of time, and he's purple as well in that last sector, in that middle sector. So we'll see what lap time he puts in that McLaren as he makes his way towards the line now. Let's see what lap time he sets. It's going to be P4 for the McLaren driver. Can he find any more time? He's done 4 laps on those back tyres. You'll see a lot of drivers do that. I think they have 2 sets of wets. I'm not quite sure in the qualifier session. I think they have 3 sets of inters and 2 sets of wets. I'm not sure if the conditions are improving or not. It doesn't look like it as LBR dives in the pit lane. There's Daniel in last place. He hasn't set a lap time yet. The Dutch Missile, 3/10 improvement in the first sector, but it looked like he lost it slightly coming out of turn 4 as he heads into the Cedar Largo now. A few more drivers making their way to the pit lane to put on a brand new set of the wet tyres. A few more drivers cross the line. We've got a Haas about to cross the line. Let's see if he improves on the lap time. No, he does not. But yeah, we're on board with the Dutch Missile, who seems to be struggling in these wet conditions. Just can't put that car in the right places, but he needs to set his 19.5 as well. So let's see his middle sector. 1.8 seconds up. Is this lap time good enough to find himself up the pecking order? Oh, he loses it coming out of John Sau as he applies the throttle, just experimenting as Tito. Tito goes into P7 with a 17.2 in that Williams, or Alpine I must say, and the Dutch Missile crossed the line now to go P12 with a 17.8, so he found a lot of time in that final sector as he locks up into turn number 1. What's Will Murdoch doing? He's in the first sector. Oh, he's actually backed off on this lap time. And somebody's just moved up the order. That was CPI Daniel who's just moved up the order with a 17.7. Then his first lap time, it seems, as he says, 1 lap only on these wet tyres. So we should find more improvements as his lap goes on. And he goes off the track and he's spun. Has he kept out of the wall? Yes. And thankfully he hasn't broken his front wing. May have light green damage, may not be visible to us, but on his MFD he might show light green damage then. Look like Tom is on the intermediate tyres, it seems. So it is the track improvement. We've got Mercedes coming out the garage on the wet tyres, but with 8 minutes and 40 seconds left to go in this session, it is the track improvement. There's Matthew then. Can he get himself back on provisional pole? Let's see what his lap time is, and it is a 16.5, so good lap time there from the Haas driver by a 10th quicker as well on Santeri in P2. And looks like he's going for another lap as well, but he's low on ERS, so might have to back off just a bit. But we've got more drivers coming out of the pit lane. And let's see what Links is doing. He makes his way into turn number 1 and turn number 2 into 4th gear. This can be difficult. Keep off the curves, but sadly for him, He's just got a bit too out wide and invalidated his lap time. Those first 3 corners can be quite difficult. It's really pivotal to hook it up, as Tom's just came out of the pit lane, so he hasn't held it up. But Tom is on the intermediate, suggesting that the track is improving. And to me, it looks like the rain has eased off a little bit, so it looks like we'll see some times being set on the inters then. Will Links come in the pit lane and others as well, because we've got Mix in P6, FER in P6 on the inters, and Jensen as well, also on the inters. So it looks like some of these drivers might consider going in the pit lane. We've got Mika on a lap time, 2/10 up, and looks like he's going to continue this lap time. So let's see then if he can find improvements. P7 for him in the Alpine, but more drivers are on the intermediate tyres. It seems the Dutch Missile has gone through it as well. So we'll find somebody as Daniel gets a bit of a tank slapper coming out of turn number 3, but we'll find somebody on the inters then who's about to start a lap time. Looks like Tom is. We'll judge to see if the inters are a better tyre. Looks like they are. Looks like the track's getting better, it seems. So no DRS, of course. I don't think we'll see DRS in this session, but Shizou Tom then will make his way towards the line, and let's see what lap time he can set. As we make our way down into turn number 1 then. Slow entry, slow in, fast out. Coming into turn number 2, take this apex here. Take a little curb, keep off this one in turn 3, but keep the tightest line to minimise the distance. He brings it out wide. Usually DRS around here, and opportunities to overtake down into turn 4. 2/10 up, 2.5 tenths up, so it's definitely time for the inters. And the people at the garage right now will probably opt on to go to the inters. And his teammate as well in P9 is in the pit lane watching him, and he's got on the intermediate tyres as well. Making his way down this slow speed corner, then important to scrub off a lot of speed, but goes slightly out wide, which compromises a little bit, but luckily it's a left-hander for him in his next corner. Just keep it nice and tidy as he applies the throttle now. Into this right-hander we go, lock up again, hits the apex nicely now. Really difficult part of the track to get it right in terms of traction. Very easy to lose traction in a slow speed corner there, and he's 6/10 up in that middle sector. Rides the curb, gets a good exit. You can see him experimenting with the throttle on the power now, and this should be pole position if he has no problems from here on in. And let's see then, does he take pole position away from Matteo? And it's going to be a 16.0, so he does a whole 5/10 quicker, and I dare say he could find more improvements as well, because he did make a few mistakes on his intermediates, so I dare say there's more time to be found. But he's got off the track in turn 3, and we've got a 5-place grid penalty for Charlie Moon for making contact with somebody, and that looks like to be the driver ahead of him. So driver down in P20, and both Williams in P19 and P20, so it's not gone well for them at all so far. Did any of them pick up any front wing damage or wouldn't? Will they have to head back off in the pit lane? So they're already on the back foot coming towards this race. NXL then making his way into the right-hander. I wonder if he's on a lap time. It looks like it looks like he's struggling quite a lot as he gets on the throttle, but it looks like he's not on a lap time. Yep, he's not on a lap time. Just looking to see who's on a lap time here. Joey is on a lap time. Yes, he is. Makes his way towards the end of the first sector. It looks like he's 1/10 up in that first sector as he gets on the throttle, avoiding that curve on the exit. I think you usually take it in qualifying, but obviously in the rain you can compromise your exit and you can lose traction very easily. Down into 4th gear for Joey. Some people hold it in 5th or 6th. You can see him there just applying the throttle, trying to get the rotating as much as he can into the slow speed corner as we go, hugging that inside line, stays in 3rd gear, upshifted into 4th. As he applies the throttle now, you can hear the wheel spin coming out of the back of that AlphaTauri as he lights the rears up. As we apply the throttle again into the slow speed corner, now downhill left-hander, coming towards Jun Sao. This middle sector, 1 second up, so good improvement there from Joey, and there's 4 minutes left to go. The people on the wet tyres such as Jensen might want to opt to go on the inters, as the inters look like it's a clearly faster tyre at this stage. Can Joey get himself in the top 10 as he makes his way towards the line? It's going to be a 15.9, he goes quickest overall, and the first man in the 15s, and the Red Bull across the line to start his flying lap there. So we've got people on the flying laps. Where is MXL? He's 1/10 up in that middle sector. He makes his way towards the end of the middle sector. 1.1 up as Andrea has gone into P2 with a 16.0 on the intermediates. They're people's best lap times. Let's have a look. Yeah, P4 downwards then. Only 3 drivers have set their lap times on the inters as MXL makes his way towards the line now. Let's see where he could go in that Ferrari. and it's a 15.5. What a lap time from the Ferrari driver. 4/10 up as Mattia crosses the line to go P2 with a 15.6 on the front row, along with MXL in P1. The times start tumbling down now. Let's see who else is on a lap time. Lynx, is that him? Yes, it is him, and he's evaluated his lap time. Standard for him, it would have been a 17.3, which is not really good enough on those intermediates. So yeah, big improvement for him. We've got a lot of cars in the middle sector all together. Hopefully they get out of the way, because some drivers on out laps, some drive on fast laps. So almost lost it coming out there. A handful of oversteer for Mika as he applied the throttle. He did hug that inside curb as well. Might have upset the car just a little bit. As he makes his way down the left-hander, as Joey goes quickest with a 15.4, Mika 1.4 seconds quicker in that middle sector. Could he find himself a pole? But he gets a squirrely exit coming out of Jun Sao as he applies the throttle. Loads of people struggling to break traction very quickly in that corner there, but Mika will come across the line now. It's going to be a 15.5, and he's a 10 down on Joey's time in P1 then. So the times are tumbling down. The Dutch missile went into P5, but Mattia, look at that, he's 4/10 up in that middle sector. He could find himself on pole. MXL on pole position, but it's going to be replaced by Mattia, who's gone into the 14s. It's a 14.9 for the Haas driver here, as the RP driver next across the line, and that's going to be, I think it was Tito. Yes, it was Tito. Into P5 he goes. Aston Martin next across the line, and that he was about to start his lap time. It was Jax in P11. There he is in turn 1 and turn 2. Charlie Moon in P20. He's on a flying lap along with his teammate Vicente as well in P19. But everybody on their lap times now. Who should we go on board with? It's quite hard to tell. Joey has evaluated it, but he's going to go for his last final flying run. Is Joey. His AlphaTauri teammate is right behind him. Let's have a look on Santeri. There he is then. Santeri will come across the line now. It's a 14.8 for the AlphaTauri driver. And Noah Jones has gone into P6 in the Red Bull. LRB into P8 as Lynx goes into P3, so finally gets a good lap time on the board for him. MXL 4/10 up in that middle sector there. Purple overall. Mika's gone into P3, but Jensen takes pole position with a 14.7. What can MXL do in the closing stages of this qualifying session as he crosses the line now? It's P1, it's a 14.5 from the Ferrari driver. Beaten instantly by Mattia in P1, 14.4 on the inters. His Haas teammate crossed the line. Santeri in P4, who's on the lap. Tom in P5, Mika in P6, but who's next to cross the line there? Looks like Tito's in P15 in the Alpine, and Lynx in P3 then with a 14.7. Aston Martin next to cross the line, hasn't set anything yet. The Williams in P3, Vicente in P3. Finally, one of the Williams drivers are up there. They'll be last the whole session. But where's Joey then? Joey coming out of Jun Sao. 8/10 up. Can he find himself on pole position? Needs to find more time by a second in that last sector. Or 2 or 3 more tenths up. But let's see then, as he makes his way towards the line. It is Paul with a 14.4. What a good lap time. His teammate Santeri goes into P4 behind him. So both AlphaTauris up there. Lynx, Ferrari driver, the Alpha driver next to cross the line. Goes P9. That was Fleddy. And the Mercedes driver next to cross the line, is that going to be Harm in P13? Somebody spun, not quite sure who that was, but that was a Mercedes driver. It's hard to keep up with all these drivers across the line. Daniel's got P12. The Red Bull is in P2, that's Tom. Shazoo Tom. And who else is next to cross the line? That's that Lynx. Lynx is in Jun Sao. We'll keep a ball with him. It's quite hard to tell. There's a McLaren driver. Oh, Lynx has lost it. Oh, he's lost it. He's on the grass. And he's done a Roman Grosjean who's crashed out of that final corner, and Paul Di Resta as well back in 2012. But yeah, what a qualifying session there. Joey on pole position. Anybody else? There's Vicente next to cross the line in P6. I'm not quite sure if he's got a penalty due to contact, but here he is then. He's into P3, just behind Tom by a few hundreds. But what a qualifying session that was. Where's Lynx we've just seen, who just crashed out, sadly for him, but that's qualifying done. And Joey is your man on pole ahead of Shazoo Tom. Vicente in P3, Matteo in P4, MXL in P5, Santeri in P6. What a qualifying session that is. Let's hope it's a dry qualifying session. I mean race, sorry. Drivers had to adapt very quickly there. Went from dry to wet. But look at the time. It's first to fourth by 300s. That's just unbelievable. 14.4s, all of them in the top 4. Tom, Joey, Tom, Vicente in P3. Mateo in P4, MXL in P5, Santeri in P6, Linked in P7, Will Murdoch in P8, Shizu Jensen in P9, Miko in P10, Jackson P11, Andrea P12, Fleddy in P13, LRB in P14, Charlie Moon, he's got a 5-player grid penalty, will start last place, Daniel P15, Han P16, Noah Jones P17, Tito in P19, and Dutch Missile in P19. So let's see, who did he make contact with? It's too late to check now as the time ends, but sadly he'll start last place toward Charlie. Thankfully it's a dry race with some good action here. Let's see if the drivers can adjust their setup to the dries. They'll be dry anyway for the race. Only I haven't got the information for the weather. But yeah, they'll be running a dry setup, just changing a little bit, probably on the front there. Should be a fully dry race, hopefully. Everybody should have a brand new set of tyres, and obviously everybody will have could start what tyres they want to. It should be soft to medium or medium to soft, but as you can see the top two have gone for the medium compound tyres. In fact, everybody's gone for the mediums except the two down in 19th and 20th then, so not much variety going on there with the strategies. But yeah, looks like everybody's on the same strategy except the bottom two. But talk about the bottom two, one of them's just been disqualified, which was the Dutch Missile and Jones will be sat there on a long time on those medium compound tyres. They'll be cold, so we could be careful. Yeah, I expected some people go on the soft compound tyres, but everybody had the same idea. The mediums can go a very long way in this race. The hard tyres will not be used in this race unless somebody has an early incident, of course. Look at that, from P1 to P8 to P20. You can see Joey's in the middle sector and Charlie should exit turn 5. So yeah, Joey on a push already, gotta cool it down. The tyres take longer to warm up, just the medium compound tyres. Charlie Moon then, on the soft compound tyres, should have an advantage off the start. Obviously he could be at the back of the grid, so he'll be the last driver to close up on the grid. Line up on the grid, I must say. Should have the advantage with the warm soft compound tyres, so watch out for him. How many places can Charlie gain? And the Dutch Missile, but the Dutch Missile has been disqualified from the session, so they'll have cold tyres at the very start of the race. There they are then, the two. Yeah, Joey landing up on the grid then, along with Tom, who's going to get a better start. If you have the inside line for turn 1, can Tom take the inside line for turn 1? Hopefully it's a good race. Top 4 were very close in qualifying, separated by 300s. All the drivers land up on the grid then. I think every driver here is here, so we're just waiting for the lights to go off. There we go then. There are the lights, and we are away for round 1 of the Brazilian Grand Prix. But Tom's got a much better start than Joey, but Joey sorted it out in the second phase of the start. Tom's going to go down the inside, but Joey has the track position. They need to give him space as they enter turn 1, now turn 2, and look at that, there's Vicinti going around the outside of Tom into turn 2, and they go side by side now as they're all behind Joey. Joey's the stitch provider from these guys behind, but there's Tom there trying to go down the inside as Vicinti gets a lovely launch around the outside. He takes second place away from Tom. Tom in third place, MXL under pressure from Santeri right behind, and his yellow flags further behind, but looks like Tom's going to go for it. Down into turn 6 we go on the inside line, and he takes second place away from Vicinti. Good move there to try and reclaim second place as early as he could. And looks like Will Murdoch is having a scrap with Andrea for P9. Andrea goes a bit deep, allows Will Murdoch to come back to the inside, but there's a house getting out of shape as they make their way down into turn number 12. Look at this, the side by side is Mateo and Jensen like Hulkenberg and Side Sports back in 2018, but Jensen takes 7th place away from Mattia in P7 then, as they all sort themselves out on the opening lap of this race. LBR under pressure from Mika and Daniel right behind, but the two soft runners at the back haven't benefited. But oh, bit of contact and this massive crash, and Daniel is in the wall there as MXL has overtaken Vicinti for P3, but he's hit the back of him, he's outbroke himself, and he might sustain light front wind damage. And there's Santeri around the outside, has the inside line for the next corner. Santeri then should have a much better exit, but has Vicinti picked up any front wind damage? I'm not quite sure. We'll find out in the next few corners or the next lap if he pits or not. But yeah, sadly for him, he's shot further behind, has Vicinti, as Noah Jones then has been overtaken by Mika for P14. Jensen right behind Lynx as well, Lynx in P6. But if he has got front wind damage, it'll affect Vicinti all the way around this middle sector here. So if he's struggling with downforce, hopefully he hasn't picked up any damage, otherwise be a sitting duck in this middle sector. But yeah, Joey got a good start there, tried to cover the inside line, but he knew he had to give space to Tom on the inside, which he did do. Then he had to watch out for two drivers behind him. He boxed Tom in, and Vicinti went around the outside. Vicinti's lost 2 positions on the start, went from P3 to P5 if you count P2 if he made that move around the outside. So lost some ground as Vicinti, the Williams driver, but can he make it up later this race? Doesn't look like he's going to pit, so he might have escaped from front wind damage, or he's just managing it. But Tom sets the fastest lap of the race as DRS will be enabled then. What we're going to see here is a massive DRS train in its opening stint of this race. Obviously everybody's decided to go on the medium compound tyres, and the Dutch Missile and Charlie Moon haven't really benefited, because look, they're down there at P18 and P19, so yeah, their strategy hasn't really worked out. They're hoping to capitalise on those soft compound tyres as early as they could, try and gain as many positions as they can, but it hasn't gone well for them whatsoever, so they'll be down there in P19 and P20. Daniel on a brand new set of softs in P20. They all have brand new tyres. They have about 4 sets of softs and 3 sets of mediums, because they didn't use any in qualifiers, so they can play as many tyres as they want to. Nobody should have tyre problems whatsoever, but we're all bunched up behind together. Worst place to be in the DRS train is about 3rd or 4th, because you have no advantage as the guys ahead have DRS, but dirty air is hard to manage as well around here. You can be very careful when applying the throttle and turning into corners. So Joey then, the DRS train provider, holding back Shizou Tom in P2, just saving his DRS for the time being, not really using it. You can see in there just maintaining P2, but Santeri right behind MXL, but I can't do anything about it of course. Further back, any moves being into turn 1? Nope. The best place to do it is probably at turn 4. And Shizou Tom there right behind Joey. On the DRS train, MXL and P3. Let's have a look at the positions lost and gained. I expect Daniel to be dropping further behind, but look at that. MXL almost lost traction there. Santeri is right up his rear end, if I can find it of course. There we go there, but Tom is right behind Joey. Looks like Joey's struggling just a little bit. Down at turn 6. It should be on here, shouldn't it? There it is. So the most lost is Mika from P10 to P15. We'll be happy about that one. And Daniel from P15 to P20. Most gained is 3 from Andrea and Noah Jones, who's in the top 10 is Andrea, ahead of his Aston Martin teammate. The top 2 remain where they are. MXL got a good start, gained 2 places. Vicinti lost 3 places if you count it, if he went to P2 at the first lap. Down to P5, lost a bit of ground, hit the back of Santeri, but thankfully he sustained no front wind damage. If he has got front wind damage, he's managing it really well. But we've got an overtake further behind. It's Andrea. Oh, a bit of contact in the first corner. That's Mika and Andrea. Mika comes out worst of it, and he's spun. Not quite sure what happened there, but sadly for Mika, ends up worst out of it. And look at the Ferrari. That's MXL going off the track there. Santeri putting pressure, but look at Vicinti right behind Santeri as well, trying to make a move on the AlphaTauri, just being stuck in a DRS train. Put it back at interval. If any of you want it on leader, just let me know. I know many people like it differently. But look at that, just one massive DRS train. You can see the Ferrari in the background just entering turn number 11. 15 corners around this track, 14 if you don't count that last corner. It's not really a corner because they take it flat out in these modern day Formula 1 cars. But Joey then is just maintaining the lead ahead of Tom. We've got Tom in P2, Santeri right behind MXL, but can't quite make a move. Jensen's right behind Lynx as well into P1. He's going to make a move. No, he's not. But you saw the flashing light at the back of City's car, and he's low on EOS. He's used a lot of EOS, hasn't he, in this opening stage of the race. Usually in that position, you usually save it, but he has to start saving. Look at Joey's EOS, for instance, like over 90%. No moves being made into turn 4. Mika, is he not back enough on LRB? No, he's not. He's too far behind, sadly for him. Mattia in P17 hasn't gone for a pit stop, so he's stayed out there. Don't think he's sustained any damage from that spin, but look at that, all bunched up behind together. I think the soft compound tyre, mediums to softs, is the optimum way to go around this track. 36 lap race. Tyre wear is fantastic on this track. No one should be suffering from tyre wear. Maybe overheat at this stage of the race. That's usually on the soft compound tyres, but in the middle part of the track it's very easy to overheat the car. But we're heading on to lap 7 of this race then. Who's close enough to make an overtake? Looks like MXL has to, because he's got Santeri right behind him, so he might have to go for an overtake. If he sits further behind, he might suffer from Santeri. But look at that, Lynx overtaking Vicinti as Santeri goes around the outside into turn 1. He has the inside right for turn 2. Got to make sure he don't make contact, which he does do, and gets sent into a spin. And there's another crash as well with the Williams. Wow, that's a massive shame there for Santeri. I'm not quite sure who hit him. Was it the Red Bull or was it Lynx? I'm not quite sure who that was, but sadly ended up worst out of all of it and collected the Williams as Vicinti drops down the order as well. So Vicinti got caught up in that incident, so both of them dropping down. A massive shame for Vicinti right there. You know, I know how frustrating it is to be in a DRS train. Like, you don't want to be stuck here for all the race. You've got to make the moves, and it's understandable from the driver's point of view to just try and go for the moves. You had to, really, had no choice, because he had the Santeri right behind him coming up. Santeri, he had to be careful because Tom was right in front of him, and yeah, he had to be really careful not to hit the back of him. Look at Jensen there, get a back exit coming out of Judsao. And Jay will be looking interested in the back of that McLaren. Both Aston Martins in P6 and P7 there. Andre gaining a lot of positions off the start. He's in P6. Where did he start in this race? I think it was outside the top 10. Yeah, it was. It was P12. He's into P6 by just avoiding accidents. Santeri's in the pit lane, along with Vicinti as well. So, unfortunate for both of those drivers. It's the first round of the season. See there, Tom's still stuck behind Joey. I don't think he's stuck behind him. He can make the move whenever he wants to, but playing it out very wisely, saving the EOS, not using the battery, just making Joey use the EOS more. You can see there, has more than half. Then Joey in P1, going a bit wide there as well is Joey, so going to be very careful not to open up the door of opportunities for those drivers behind. But yeah, he has no DRS. The only driver in this race not to use DRS. Did a good job out in front. He knows what the game plan is. The guys sit behind and just waiting for the perfect opportunities to arise. When it comes to the end of the first stint, I suspect that that Tom will make a move on him. That's what I'd do. If I was in second place, I'd just sit behind him and just wait for the perfect opportunities. Heading on to lap 9 out of 36 of this race. Anybody close enough to make an overtake on each other? Jack's right behind his teammate of Andre, who's pursuing Jensen for P5. We've got Mattia, who's overtaken the Dutch Missile for P15. Another driver who's spun in this race. Ended up further down the pecking order, sadly for him as well. So quite a few mistakes and incidents going on. Mika right behind LRB as well. LRB into P11. All one massive DRS train so far. You can see Santeri and Vicinti on the hard compound tyres, praying for a safety car. We've already seen a few incidents in this race. Safety car might be not a bad call if it keeps going like this. Lynx right behind MXL as well. All bunched up behind together, but can't do anything about it because they all have DRS. But Lynx is low on DRS in comparison to Jensen behind. But I wonder when will Lynx may try and make a move on MXL. Is he close enough to make a move? Won't go for it into turn 1, try and set himself up into turn 4 if he can get a good exit out of these corners. But Tito is right behind Mika. Both Alpine drivers fighting for P12. And look at Jensen, they're getting a better exit than Lynx into turn 3. But too far behind to make any overtake. I know how it feels to be stuck in a DRS but look at that, Jensen gets a really good exit and he's actually going to go for it as well. Into turn 6 we go, goes around the outside of the Alfa Romeo, goes a bit deep as well, and sadly for him he did not make the move stick. Had to watch out for Andrea as he went wide. Optimistic move there for Jensen, he had to do it of course. He saw the opportunity there, tried to take it, but yeah, just went a bit too wide. Would have been a good move around the outside as well. On to lap 11, I expect the pit stop to be around lap 20 or something like that. The mediums can go a very long way in this race. The hards can probably go at the end of the race or end of the race if they want to. The hards will eventually turn into the soft compound tyres, but look at Jax, he's using the ERS there, he wants to get past his teammate Andrea. Is he close enough into turn 1? No, he's not, but it's been a move for the lead, and Tom has finally overtaken Joey for P1. Joey there, can he get a better exit? He has DRS for the first time in this race. He's right at the back of Tom. Is he going to overtake him? Yes he is, he's used the ERS as well, and he gets past the Red Bull for P1. But look at the ERS difference between first and second, massive ERS difference. If you were Joey, would you have stayed behind Tom and try and save that ERS? It's very hard to save ERS when you're on your own, but when you're behind another car, it's much easier because you're carrying more speed. Means you're arriving at the corner earlier and you're braking earlier as well, meaning you can save more batteries. You can see there 95% in comparison to Joey's 36%, but Joey reclaimed the lead immediately after he got overtaken. It's just a massive DRS train as well. Look at that, those guys must be frustrated down there in P3, P4, P5, but the strategies will open up soon. Who will go for an early undercut? I think the softs could do about 15-16 laps. The peak performance will be gone around 54, lap 14 or lap 15 if it was normal. But here comes Tom then, back on Joey, into turn 1 we go. Let's see then, will Joey try and make an overtake again into turn 4? Not close like he was behind the previous lap. It looks like Tom's pulling away with the ERS. And Joey will have to settle for second place. Now, you can see there 30% ERS, he needs to make sure that he saves the ERS later for the race and use it later. It's his turn now to try and save the battery. Sit behind Tom. Make sure MXL is nowhere near behind him as well. And try and save the ERS battery, but MXL right at the back of Joey there. Thankfully he didn't hit him. He's going to be under pressure from Lynx as well. Jack's far behind. Everyone's got DRS down to P14. It looks like the Mercedes driver Harm is in P14. He's the last of this train, so he must be really feeling frustrated. He can't do anything about it. 13 drivers ahead of him, and all of them have DRS. Well, except P1 obviously, but he can't do anything about it, sadly for him. Yeah, Joey's a bit too far back to make a move, but Lynx, is he looking to try and make a move on MXL? No, he's not, too far behind on this occasion. What about Mika down in P12? Yes, he's going to go for it to turn 1. LLB hits the back of him, hopefully no damage there, but they continue their battle. LLB goes around the outside and maintains P11. Mika tries to get a better exit, and let's see if he can overtake him, but here comes his teammate Tito as he's boxed in, and down the inside he goes, but no he doesn't, he backs out of it, but LLB goes a bit deep as well, so does Tito. But Tito there, having more ERS than both of them combined, had the overspeed, tried to get past his teammate, which he did do. Luckily, it didn't swipe him, of course. I thought he was boxed in, but it turns out to be he was ahead of him and tried to go down the inside, but he stays behind LRB. The problem is there that LRB is now outside the 1 second range of DRS towards Noah Jones and P10. So those two battling have cost him a lot, and he's 1.5 seconds behind. It can be very difficult as well to try and close in because the guys are carrying more speed with the DRS, and you don't have DRS, so it could be more difficult to try and close in. But back to the battle for P1 between Tom, Joey and MXL. Is Joey going to go for it? It's turn 1, no, he backs out. And Tom's still got more ERS despite being in front of Joey, but Tito has got past LRB into turn 1, and Harm has got past Mika into turn 1 as well. As we make our way down into turn number 4, Joey stays behind for the time being. Noah Jones is right behind, or it's alongside the Alfa Romeo driver, and he gets past him for P9. Jensen is right behind Lynx's gearbox as well for good measure. Got some good moves going on further behind as well. Fleddy trying to get past Noah Jones. Well, Noah Jones actually got past him. Can Tito in P11 get back in DRS range of Fleddy for P10? It could be very tricky now. The connection is broken between P10 and the P11 due to the battles between LRB and Mika. Mika's lost heart. 3 positions down in P14. But we're approaching lap 15 out of 36. At the start of the race, I wonder if anybody was thinking about going to the soft compound tyres. I think people down the midfield would have not, because it's more wise not to do that, to go for a different strategy because you're further down the field. But what about P1 and P2? Did they think about going on the softs? P3 and P4 as well, try and get a better start than everybody else? Everybody except 19th and 20th started on the medium compound tyres. Nobody decided to go on the softs. One Murdoch down in P8 right behind Andre as well. Let's have a look at the positions gained or lost. Noah from P17 on the grid finds himself in P9 and on the DRS train of the guys ahead. The most lost is Vicente down in P19. Started in 3rd place, but it all went horribly wrong for him when he got involved in a contact with Santeri. Got sent to spin. The only driver who stayed where they are is Will Murdoch down in P8. Hasn't gained or lost anything. But we're heading on to lap 16 out of 36 now. This is the first round of the season. There we go, got the graphics back up for you. Anybody close enough to on this occasion to make a move into turn 1? I'm surprised that Joey's not saved up the US despite being behind. I wonder if he's still used it at the exit of corners to try and get closer behind him as well. So yeah, Joey's not really saved up the EOS. Tom's EOS management is really effective, really good for him so far. Doing a fantastic job, but Jensen's right behind Lynx. And Lynx run out of EOS. Can he get a good exit? Can he try and get him again into turn 6? Will he get a better exit coming out of turn 4? And you can see he's derated, so he's going to go for it again, is Jensen. He's going to go around the outside, but it doesn't make it stick. Thankfully it doesn't run out wide, and Lynx stays in P4. Nice to see that Jensen's trying to do something different and not just wait for the DRS, but yeah, it's really difficult trying to overtake around the outside of there. Gotta be careful you don't run off the track at the exit of turn number 8. I wonder if he's close to try and make a move again, because Lynx is really low on the EOS, as you can see there. Drained a lot of battery. He's actually dropping away towards MXL, because Joey's used all of his deployment in one lap, and down the inside he goes then into turn 1. Has he got a move stick? Yes, he has. Nice move there from Jensen. He knew that Lynx was derated, saw the opportunity and took it. And further ahead you can see that Joey under pressure from MXL, having to think about attacking and defending at the same time. Tito's actually dropping away from Fleddy, and there's Jackson. He's going to try and go around the outside, puts the wheel on the grass, and he doesn't make the move done. That's 2 drivers who's trying to move around the outside of Lynx, and Lynx has defended all 3 occasions, so he's done a fantastic job defending on the inside there. I wonder if we'll see a safety car to spice things up as well. Some good moves being made by Jensen. Tried around the outside twice, didn't work. Then finally got his mind into turn 1. Now he's in the back of Tom, Joey and MXL. Battle for P18 between the 2 Williams drivers, and P18 and P19 there. Charlie Moon and Vicente. Wonder how that will turn out. Joey then will he try? Oh, Santeri has picked up a 3-second time penalty. He's right behind the Dutch missile as well. Pushing hard on those hard compound tyres, maybe not giving them the best grip out there. Another not really a good tyre, but they are for endurance. They effectively turn into soft compound tyres. They get softer and softer as the rubber wears down. Hard to get past LRB for P12. Too far back to do so, and LRB stays ahead. Jax is right behind Lynx. He's derated on this short straight. Lynx is struggling to save EOS. They're all bunched up behind each other. And Vicente has got past his teammate for P18 into turn 1. That was for Vicente ahead of Charlie Moon. Mika has picked up a 3-second time penalty. Look at all these drivers right behind each other. He must be frustrated in the midfield to be stuck behind those guys. They're all effectively on the same strategy. It's just a question who will be the first to dive in the pit lane to go the soft compound tyres. I think lap 20 we'll see some people heading the pit lane, or to lap 22. The softs could go a good distance around this track. The peak performance will drop off about 15-16 laps in. But I know the soft compound tyres are good, but we've got two drivers in the pit lane. You can see MXL had a wobbly exit coming out of turn 3. So they finally pit, and on the soft compound tyres they had enough of being that DRS train. Might as well do something different. And Jack's got past Lynx for P5. Looks like he outbroke him into turn 5, but here comes Lynx again. No, he doesn't, he backs out of this, but Jack's though into P5. Used a lot of ERS to try and get past him as well. As Hard and Mattia come out of the pit lane in P14. Mattia in P15 there. He's alongside the AlphaTauri Santero and stays ahead crucially. Don't want to lose any time being stuck behind somebody in a different strategy. But lap 19 out of 36, who is going to be the first man to drop out the DRS train and head into the pits? Pit window should be open now or very, very soon. Nobody's going to go to the pits, but Joey then, look at MXL, he's right behind Joey, has massive overspeed. Joey's derated, he can't do anything about it. And there goes MXL, down into turn 1 he goes side by side now. Joey has the inside line for this corner. Keep it nice and clean, boys, which they do, but MXL picks up a penalty. And there's Jensen as well. Can he take 2 for 1? You can see MXL has DRS. Joey has a DRS on the back of Tom. And Jensen goes down the inside of Joey into turn 1. Joey's just lost 2 places in 1 there. And the lack of ERS did not help for him. But we've got a few people in the pit lane, which is Andrea, LRB and Mika. Andrea was in the DRS trade, so let's see then if the undercut will work on these guys ahead. Will he find himself in first place once these guys ahead will pit? Yeah, Joey then, the ERS just not working out for him. And that's a good move from Jensen to get one of them. Almost got MXL into turn 2 or turn 4. But MXL, one of the leaders, picked up a 3-second time penalty, so sadly for him as well. So on the back foot there in terms of penalties. If the safety car comes out, not going to do him any favours once the whole grid is bunched together. But anybody diving in the pit lane, yes they do. It's Joey and Jensen, and it's going to be Jacob. So close, hopefully nobody hits each other. But we've got about 7 drivers in the pit lane then on the soft compound tyres. Main guy to watch out for is Andrea in P11. Is the undercut going to work? Is he going to find himself in a net P2? Let's see if the undercut has worked for the Aston Martin driver. As he heads down into turn 1, Hahn has set the fastest lap of this race. There's the drivers on the left hand side. Has he got ahead of all of them? And it looks like he has he? Yes he has, just ahead of Joey. So the no, not Jensen though. Jensen just stays ahead. He gets DRS because the detection point is before, I think it's before the last corner. And Joey stays ahead of Andrea. So it has worked for Andrea. He's in between Joey and Jensen. Jensen though just stayed ahead of Andrea. Now Tom has to box his lap. He really has to push hard on his in lap. There he is using the ERS. He had a lot of ERS to begin with. And into the pits he comes. Along with MXL in P2. And what about Freddy? Yes he does, Freddy, sorry. So it'll be very interesting to see where he comes out. Here comes the soft runners. Jensen, Andrea and Joey. Could be very interesting to see where Tom rejoins. Has Jensen done enough on this out lap to push really hard and try and get ahead of Tom? Or has Tom's in lap been very good? Can he stay ahead of these drivers? Let's see, then you can see him coming out the left hand side, and I think the undercut has worked. And Tom will rejoin behind Joey. Yes he does. Joey's reclaimed P4 ahead of him. And Jensen leads the race of this Grand Prix for the first time. Andrea is in P2, so there's been a change of leadership at the front. It's no longer Joey or Tom leading this race, it is Jensen. Andrea in P2, pitting one lap before Jensen, 2 laps before Joey and Tom, made it stick and rejoined in P2. He almost got Jensen as well, so you almost led the race. But sadly for Tom, he's down in P4, the worst place of it. He's got the ERS advantage ahead of Joey. Joey's managed to reclaim some ERS being in the pit stop, but Joey seems like he's struggling saving the ERS. Maybe he's gone for a high downforce setup, I wonder. But we're heading on to lap 23 of 36 then. Andrea is right behind Jensen. Is he going to make a move? I thought he was, you know, but he wasn't. But Joey just taps the back of Andrea into turn 1, but thankfully got away with it. There's the comment section. We've got a Jensen supporter. He's currently in P1 doing a fantastic job. And Fleddy has got past LRB for P11. Yes, he has. LRB pitted 2 laps before everybody else as well, so trying to close in on those guys in the DRS train, but it's just a massive DRS train again as LXL is right behind the Aston Martin of Jax. Not where he was expected to be behind. Oh, I thought he was going to go down the inside. In fact, he sends Jack into wide, goes wide as well, so... But doesn't make the move. Jack stays ahead for the time being, but is he going to go down the inside? Yes, he does. Not really a place you see expected to overtake, but gets a bad exit. As you can see, the guys ahead of him have pulled away. He still has DRS. Crucially, he still has DRS. Made the move at the wrong time. And there comes Tom then, going around the outside. Andrea tries to go down the inside, but the side by side now. Joey made a contact, I think, on the back of the Aston Martin. And Tom then takes P2 away from Joey. And here comes Tom. Will he go for it again? Andrea, yes, he's derated on the straight. Jensen's trying to pull away. And Tom will go around the outside. Squeeze off the grass a little bit there to go side by side. Oh! You can see there, squeezing him off the track slightly. And Tom will go down the inside into turn 6. Might have got a warning for that one. They still go side by side, but if they go side by side for too long, Jensen might pull away. Yes, he does. 1.1. Tom has to really push now to try and close in on that 1 second gap. Tyre difference is 1 lap. Might not make too much of a difference, but he has to pull now. Jensen has got an advantage now. Can he maintain that 1 second gap? Or can Tom close in? Going side by side into turn 4, 5, 6 and 7 has cost Tom a little bit, but he finds himself back in the DRS range. He has got himself back in the DRS range. That was really pivotal for him, for his race. Otherwise he might find himself fighting Andrea and Joey behind, not having the DRS. And there's MXL trying to go around the outside of Joey, but Joey's not having any of it, and he stays ahead of MXL. Our pole sitter under pressure from the Ferrari driver behind. They're all derating on the straight as well. 11 laps to go in this race. Might see a good battle between Jensen and Tom. It was Tom and Joey to start with. Yeah, Joey pulling that undercut may have helped his race because he was stuck in that DRS train. Pitted 1 lap early, everybody got himself ahead of everybody, and now he's in the race under pressure from Tom. Tom pitted 1 lap after him. Andrea pitted 1 lap before, 2 laps before Tom. 1 lap before everybody decided to come in the pit lane, and it's helped him because he was in the DRS train as well, and he finds himself on the podium. And Joey's under pressure from the Ferrari behind. DRS is enabled, but obviously they're quite equal as they're both derated on the straight and they both have DRS as well, so no advantage for those two there. Now Jensen is the DRS provider, has to watch out for Tom. Tom's done a fantastic job in this race. Santiago picks up another penalty and even tired as well in the pit lane. Hopefully that won't be a safety car. No, it won't be. It was in the pit lane and he's left the session. MXL, the only guy in the top 10, picking up a 3 second time penalty. Good racing so far from the guys ahead. Done a fantastic job all race round. All stuck in this big DRS train, there's nothing they can do about it. And the yellow flag is for Santiago coming out the pit lane. His AI will disappear soon. Feel sorry for those guys down like in P9, P8, those guys behind in the midfield. They can't do anything about it. They're just stuck there in that DRS train. And here comes MXL then on Joey. There goes Andrea on Tom. Oh, what's happened here? Oh, it's a virtual safety car. I thought someone brake tested somebody then, better say. But why is there a virtual safety car? McLaren has gone off the track And yes, he has. He's lost his front wing. So the virtual safety car has came out. That could have saved Tom, because Tom was under massive pressure from Andrea. Might have saved Joey as well, just a little bit, because he was under pressure from MXL and P5. So the race has been neutralised, and everybody's going around at the same speed. And the Dutch missile is the reason why the safety car, the virtual safety car, has came out. Lost all of his front wing, and into the pit lane he goes. Our first VSC then in this race. One McLaren's had a good time in first, but the others had a dismal race down in P18. And Daniel as well down in P19. Just praying the safety car comes out. Opportunity for Joey to save some ERS as well, because he's been struggling and he's been lacking ERS all race long, but it does help him save that ERS. And I think we're going at racing speed once again. The safety car might be ending. Yes, it is, and DRS is enabled. MXL had a really good restart, but look at that, there goes Tom. And look at Andrea. Jensen's under massive pressure here. Andrea has to back out. And look at Joey down the inside of MXL, all defending from, I must say. And MXL has the inside, and gets sent to spin. Contact with the rear end of Joey's car. And sadly for MXL has spun, but here comes Jensen on top, and here comes Andrea on top. Like he was at the start. Oh, Tom's made contact with Andrea, and thankfully he saves the car. A lot of action going on here. It was Jensen under massive pressure from Andrea and Tom at the start of finish straight. Then at turn 4 it was Tom under massive pressure. He's lost 2 positions as Tom from first to third. And he's got Andrea in front of him now. Andrea looking really comfortable in P2. He pitted. He was the first man to pit in the DRS train. Finds himself in a comfortable P2. Can he try and win this race? Anybody can win this race. Will it be Jensen? Will it be Andrea, Tom, Joey, or Jack in P5, or Links? Anybody can win this race. Will Murdoch down there having a quiet race in P7? Doing a good job so far. And Andrea there right behind Jensen. Will he go for it? No, he won't. We'll wait for turn 4. Look at Joey trying to go down the inside of Tom as well. Andrea then. Jensen's got a healthy ERS, but here comes Tom again. Pulls to the left hand side. They both got DRS on Jensen. And Jack has got past Joey. Yes, he has around the outside, but does he go off the track? Yes, he does. Oh, I thought he almost hit the back of Joey then. And here comes Lynx as well. But Jack saves the car, thankfully. Didn't cause a massive crash. Outbroke himself into turn 4, trying to get past Joey. Went off the track. It's bumpy off the track. Very easy to lose the car. There's a good fight going on between the top 6 here. Will Murdoch in P7 with Noah Jones as well. Harm in P9. Lost traction quit out there. Massive wheel spin. And Freddy in P10. LLB in P11. Matui in P12. Tito in P13. Miko in P14. Charlie in P15. Vincenzi in P16. But somebody's left the session. That was MXL. Sadly for him, he has retired from the race. Lap 30. There's 6 laps to go in this race. Look at Jax going down the inside of Joey into turn 1. But he's made the move stick for the second time of asking, and he finds himself right behind his Aston Martin teammate for P3. Both Aston Martins in the top 4 there, both teammates are both doing a fantastic job. And Joey just looking like he's been lacking ERS all race. He just can't find a way to save the ERS. Don't know if it's just due to setup, whether he has a high downforce setup. But yeah, he's just been struggling to save ERS all race long. He's got Links right behind him. I'll pulse it to P1. Maybe he is set up as well. Maybe it's favoured in the rain more than the dry. Still 6 laps to go. We could find any opportunity, but massive DRS train. Like, these guys behind have no chance in this race to try and find their way past. They just be sat there waiting for an opportunity, trying to overtake. Just can't quite seem to happen for those guys. But here comes Tom then on Jensen. Will they play DRS games? They know how powerful DRS is. Tom just sits behind, but Jensen makes a mistake into turn 2. And Tom is right behind him as Mika has retired in the pit lane. there won't be a safety car, but look at Andrea trying to go past as well. He's boxed in. Tom goes down the inside of Jensen. Will Andrea follow as well? They go side by side now. Jensen might lose 2 places in a few corners. He's boxed in. He can't do anything about it, of course. Tom has the outside line. Andrea tries to stick around the outside of Jensen, and Jensen stays in P2. What a fight between these guys. Look at that. Both Aston Martins hit each other there. Don't want to be doing that. It cost himself a lot of points as well. They'd be frustrated if he hit his teammate fighting for the lead of this race. Really good racing going on between the top 3. But looks like Jensen was boxed in at one point, but he stays in P2. Andrea tried to go around the outside, but he couldn't quite make the move stick. Yellow flags in sector 2. That is not a. That's an AR car just retiring of this race. Jensen right behind Tom yet again, but there's been a few moves. I think Flynn's got past Matthias got past LRB for P11. There's a few moves going on in the midfield there. LRB is right behind Matthias as well for P11. Will Murdoch is right behind the Alfa Romeo Flynn. Sorry about that. They're all bunched up right behind each other. The Aston Martin of Jack's right behind his teammate. Andrea there, you can see sliding just a little bit as he makes his way into turn 7. Who is faster out of these two Aston Martins? Used to be the Force India team, of course, and the Racing Point team. Force India have crashed plenty of times in their recent history, back in 2017 and 18 with Esteban Ocon and Sergio Perez. Lynx is right behind Joey. Joey's just under massive pressure. He's lacking ERS as well. Might not be able to keep him behind. There he goes then, Lynx side by side with him as we make our way into turn 1, and he's got past the AlphaTauri of Joey. Joey's just sadly falling back. Our pole sitter hasn't had a good race so far. Been under massive pressure throughout the whole race. Further ahead, no moves going on so far. They're all pushed up behind, but Joey trying to go back down the inside into turn 4. Wheel to wheel action between these two, and Joey stays ahead of Lynx for P5. He's lacking ERS badly. Just can't quite save that ERS. Oh, I think Lynx might have been hit by Will Murdoch in P7. Hopefully no damage there between those two. Did get a bit out of shape into turn 7, but Jax is right behind his Aston Martin teammate of Andrea. The soft compound tyre should be in good shape for the time being, but Will Murdoch is right behind. Noah Jones is right behind Will Murdoch. As we head on to lap 34 of 36, this is where the action does spice up. There's been no safety cars now. Safety cars will no longer play a factor in this race. Gone the whole race without a safety car. Noah Jones is right behind Will Murdoch, who's right behind Lynx, all bunched up together. The Dutch missile picks up 83-second time penalty, but Jackson's got more ERS than his Aston Martin teammate, and he pulls to the left hand side. I wonder if those two in the party just let each other go. And Jack's up into P3 ahead of his teammate, but further behind, Will Murdoch gets past Lynx, but gets a bad exit, and here comes Lynx again. But Will Murdoch up into P6 ahead of Lynx. Might put the pressure off Joey just a little bit, seeing them two fight. But there's 2 laps to go in, there's 3 laps to go in this race. Who is it going to be? Will it be Jensen? Will it be Tom? Very interesting to see who comes out on top. Will Jensen wait for the last lap and use everything he's got? Look at that, Tom's got some healthy ERS management. Despite being out in front, managing his ERS really well. Very consistent indeed, and Jensen right behind him. Now has DRS on Tom. Will he go for its tail? Looks like he will, using that battery. And there he goes then. Tom will just let him past and wait for turn 4. Noah Jones right behind Lynx. Oh, the Haas is off the track here. Did he get pushed off the track? I'm not quite sure. Tom right behind Jensen. Will he go for its turn 4? No, he waits for the time being. Lynx is right behind Will Murdoch, and Noah Jones following as well. These guys have just done nothing but sat in a DRS train. Nothing they can do about it, of course, but Should they have got a different strategy? McLaren has spun. Is that the Dutch missile again? Yes, it is. The Dutch missile has gone for another spin. Charlie is right behind his teammate for Cincy. Back to the battle for the lead of this race then. Lap 35 out of 36. Who is going to win? Will it be Jensen? Look at that! Could that be controversy? Look who's in front of Jensen, his teammate. And his teammate will give him DRS off the back straight. Well, not back straight, but turn 4. And that might annoy Tom just a little bit there, but the Dutch missile will have to get out of the way as quickly as he can. Tom there picks up a warning as he cut the whole of turn 2, but Noah Jones is right behind, and Jensen does not have DRS. Somehow he does not have DRS, and here comes Tom then, goes down the inside into turn 4, he made contact and almost sent him into a spin, but he keeps the car, and Noah Jones has got past the links for P7. Last chance for Tom is at the main straight. I wonder how Jensen did not get DRS, or did he not turn it on because he found it unfair. I'm not quite sure, but he should have DRS. He was 1 second behind his teammate, the Dutch missile. Oh, he almost lost it there due to wheel spin. Just pushing as hard as he can. His last chance now is on the main straight. Jensen's got it covered. If he doesn't make any mistakes from here on in. But oh, wheel spin again, but Tom then obliterated his ERS, so is Jensen. Then Jensen will come across the line then, and he should win the Brazilian Grand Prix for the season opener ahead of Jax. Andrea in P4 ahead of Joey. Joey picks up P4, Will Murdoch in P5, Noah Jones in P6, Links in P7, Fleddy in P8, Andrea in P9, Tito in P10, LBR in P11, Harm in P12, Matteo in P13, Vicinti finishes P14, Charlie in P15, Daniel with the last man to finish P16 due to the Dutch missile across the line and being a lap car. But that was quite strange. You would have thought Jensen was close enough to have DRS on his teammate. What a race. Fantastic to Jensen for winning the race. I thought this could be between Tom and Joey. Both during fantastic races. Jensen pitted 1 lap earlier, found himself up the pecking order, away from the DRS train. Shout out to Aston Martin as well for doing a good job. One of their drivers is on the podium. Andrea did pick up a 3-second time penalty in the end. Noah Jones is our driver of the day, but who is your driver of the day? Let me know in the comment section. But that was our season opener in Brazil. Raining in qualifying, turned out to be a dry race, thankfully. A bit of contact here and there. There's your classifications then. Jensen from P9 to P1 finishes in first. Tom in P2. Jax in P3 despite starting P11. Fantastic race for the Aston Martin. The Australian P3. Jerry in P4. Will Murdoch in P5. Noah Jones in P6. Links, I don't know why I keep saying that. Links in P7 ahead of Fleddy. Joe in P9. Tito from P18 to P10. LRB in P11. Harm in P12. Matteo in P13. Charlie Moon in P14. Cynthia in P15. Daniel P16. The Dutch Missile in P17. Mika in P18. MXL in P19. And Santeri in P20. So that's our race done for the opening season. I hope you all enjoyed. And I'll be your full-time commentator as well for the next upcoming races, so hopefully it'll be a good one as this was. Some drivers like Will Murdoch had a really quiet race there in P5, and Noah Jones P6. They were stuck in that DRS train but benefited from people's mistakes and penalties. But congratulations for Jensen for opening the race of the season. In terms of podium interviews, I'll do them next week onwards. Haven't really got everything sorted out, but it's been a pleasure to commentate for Formula Sim series. If you liked what you've seen, make sure you like and subscribe for more action every Thursday from 7 o'clock. And that's me done. Hopefully you all enjoyed that race, and have a good night, and hopefully you all enjoyed the Australian Grand Prix this weekend.